just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the background of doing public health assessments, what the process is, where we're at, and where we're going with it. And I wanted to just mention up front, and again we'll talk about this later, we kind of have two activities going on here at Newtown Creek. One is actually a little bit older than the other from the aspect of Newtown Creek being an NPL site. What we wrote here, a public health assessment, is under our agreement with ATSDR about the Newtown Creek NPL site itself, and looking at exposure, how people may contact it, what our community concerns about it, something about the contaminants and their toxicity. The health outcomes review actually started earlier when Greenpoint oil spill started to become a community concern, and we became aware of that. So we'll talk a little bit more about that health outcomes review later on in the presentation, but I just wanted to make sure you saw that there's kind of two products we're talking about here. All right, really down the wrong way.
Hey, Don?
Yeah?
Here's an opportunity to introduce EPA. I forgot to mention on our...
Are you doing it for me? I'll do it, please. Thank you. I'm sorry. I should mention that we have staff from the EPA here kindly attending. Would you guys mind introducing yourselves so that the folks know your role and your names and your roles? I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I think you might as well.
Caroline Kwan, I'm the Remedial Project Manager for Newtown Creek with EPA.
Nika Kleber, Remedial Project Manager for Newtown Creek, EPA.
I'm Michael Syvac. I am the team leader of the Mega Projects team, and I am also serving as the Human Health Risk Assessor for the Newtown Creek Superfund site.
And I'm Wanda Ayala, the Community Involvement Coordinator for Newtown Creek with EPA.
Thanks a lot. Some of the questions we may punt to EPA because they know more about the timing of their investigation and some other nuances that they would know better than me, and they were very helpful last time. Elena, could you talk a little bit about ATSDR involvement, and I'll take it back to the DOH department.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity for us to come and speak with you tonight. Before we get into the meat of the presentation, I just wanted to take a few minutes to explain my agency, ATSDR, and explain how and why we work with the New York State Department of Health. So my name is Elena Bauli, and I'm a regional representative for the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, more simply ATSDR. We're a federal public health agency. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia, but we have regional offices scattered throughout the nation. And I belong to the Region 2 office, which covers New York State as well as New Jersey and the Caribbean. And we have, so in 1990, the Superfund law, which some of you may be familiar with, created our agency. And that law basically started a program that is meant to find and clean up a lot of the hazardous waste sites around the country. So ATSDR, although we're not a regulatory agency, so we don't go out and clean up sites or communities, and we don't enforce environmental regulations, what we do is we provide public health input on that environmental cleanup process. And we have a cooperative agreement with the New York State Health Department to help conduct those activities in the state and in the city of New York. So our top priority is to protect people from exposures to any sort of environmental contaminations that happen to be in your community. In general, we build and apply the best science to address these issues. We educate the community in settings like this. We also can provide physician education to public health professionals. And essentially, we have this relationship with the health department, and it works out well because it helps us have greater access to federal and state and local public health experts in areas like toxicology and epidemiology and engineering and health education. Together as a team, in conjunction with the communities that we serve, we really try our best to better understand and determine whether people are being exposed to environmental contaminants in their communities. So excuse me, is by evaluating any sort of environmental sampling data that may be available. We'll also use any existing health information that may be available in the form of health outcome databases or health registries. So I'm going to stop there because I think Chris and Betsy and Dawn are going to talk a little bit more about the public health process. But I hope in the brief intro about ATSDR you kind of have a better understanding of how our agencies